An entitled mom and her kid come up to me in a coffee shop and try to take my baby. While panicking, I punched her and broke her nose. Now she is trying to sue me for everything. She even sent a man in disguise to serve me the lawsuit. Here's how it happened. Subscribe to Am I the Jerk on YouTube and hit the bell to turn on notifications. The setting is in a local coffee shop. One afternoon after our mommy and me yoga class, I know it sounds dumb, but it's a great way to meet mommy friends, me and my baby decided to get a coffee and catch up. Well, I would get a coffee. She would get that sweet boob milk. My baby, the lightweight that she is, passes out after that booby milk. I decide to be wild and get a second cup of coffee. I'm drinking my second cup of coffee when a wild entitled kid and an entitled mother appear. The entitled kid says, "Oh, a baby." I smile but go back to reading the news and sipping my coffee. When I look up, the entitled kid is trying to pick up my sleeping baby. I panicked, obviously. I started yelling, "No, no, 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 no." The entitled mother butts in and said, "Oh, she wasn't hurting her." And the entitled kid whined saying, "I just want to hold the baby." I told them, "She's sleeping and you're too little to hold her, honey. She's heavy." The entitled mother said, "Oh, just let her hold her. My entitled kid is very mature." I responded by saying, "She is not a baby doll. No." "You don't have to be a bee." Excuse me? During this time, the entitled kid tried to pick up my baby and woke her up. So the baby starts crying. I pick her up and start hushing her. "Now see what you did? Leave us alone. She just wants my daughter to hold her." Then the entitled mother tried to grab my baby. I said, "What the? Get off of me!" And I turned away to keep the baby away. The baby is crying at this point, and the entitled mother says, "Just let her hold her." She keeps trying to steal the baby from me. I yell out, "Help!" And then I open hand punch her in the nose. At this point, the coffee shop employee jumps in and pulls her away. One of them says that they called the police. The entitled mother's nose is bleeding. The entitled kid is sobbing. I kind of feel bad for the kid. She's pretty little, but her mom should teach her better. The employees ask us to stay and wait for the police. The entitled mother says, "Good, she assaulted me and traumatized my child." The baby is still crying, so I give her that boob. "She's exposing herself to a child. She is a pedo." I ignore her, and the baby finally calms down. The police came and asked us each what happened. "She exposed herself to my daughter and assaulted me." Me, being scared that I was going to jail, said, "That isn't true. She tried to steal my baby. I was just protecting her." Luckily, the coffee place did have cameras. She got arrested for an attempted kidnapping. I have to go to court for it next month. Jumping into the future, there is an update. We go to court on April 14th for the criminal charges against the entitled mother for attempted kidnapping. I didn't expect to update before then, but then this happened. Me and my baby went to the park this morning and we got back around 11 a.m. There was a man standing on our porch looking lost. The baby was in her stroller sleeping and I put my hand in my purse and onto my mace. "Can I help you?" "Joe, I'm looking for this person here. I have a package for her." He pulled out a thick envelope. It was Cardi B level thick. I'm her, I can take it. I take the Cardi B envelope and as soon as it's in my hands, I sign for it. The delivery guy rips off his fake mustache and delivery guy hat, revealing his real identity, a legal intern. Cool. You're being sued, by the way. Good luck. Yeah, that's right. I am being sued by the entitled mother. Why would the woman who tried to snatch my baby be suing me? How much damage could I have inflicted? Well, apparently I did $25,000 worth of damage. In this envelope was about 10 million pages detailing how she is suing me for everything that is wrong in her life. Apparently I had broken her nose, so she's suing me not only for medical related bills, but she also wants me to pay for them to fix her pre-existing toed nose. Oh, and of course, emotional damages to her and her child. Apparently the entitled mother has anxiety and depression because of me. The entitled kid has PTSD from the incident. Finally, I'm being sued for slander and character assassination. Because how dare I say she tried to steal my baby? Of course, at the end, she said that she would be, quote, willing to settle out of court if I would drop the criminal charges. Well, I took that letter to my lawyer and he said the judge would laugh her out of court, especially if the criminal trial goes in our favor, which is basically guaranteed. So I will be seeing her in court on April 14th and I will see her again in July for the civil case. So am I the jerk for breaking her nose? Who goes around and just randomly grabs people people's babies. I understand if you're a little kid and you don't know any better like this little kid here, but the mother is just gonna go up to some random person and try and take their baby, or try and force the original poster here to have the baby picked up by their kid who probably can't even carry this baby. I mean, why would you take on such a risk to have some random stranger hold your baby when that stranger could drop the baby by accident and then they're off? Then it's your problem. This whole situation with a guy dressing up like a delivery guy, I've actually heard about scenarios where this happens when people are trying to serve other people. They'll pretend to be somebody else or pretend to fall over and then serve them with whatever it is they're trying to serve them with. I've seen a bunch of different variations, but I actually haven't heard of a fake delivery guy with a fake mustache. I think a lot of people honestly would have done a lot worse to this entitled mother if they try to come at their baby than just breaking their nose. And probably one of the worst parts about this whole thing is that the entitled mother is teaching the kid to behave that way and reinforcing it. So let me know what you would do if this was your baby and somebody tried to just grab your baby in public. And let me know, jerk or not a jerk, and why. Am I the jerk for telling my aunt to flash those honkers for a family group photo? English isn't my first language, and I also want to say, I don't think or feel that I'm the jerk, but considering my mother's reactions, I want it up for judgment. So background first. I am what you would call fat. I'm working on it, but still a long way to go. I've always been large, and I've always had what you call a baby face. It's something I've been bullied for growing up, so it's a sensitive topic in general. My aunt is an individual who likes to get in her way. If she doesn't, she will push until it goes her way. She is also the kind of person who likes jokes on others' expense, but never on her own expense. If someone would joke about her, she will be sulking or tell them off. I am not fond of her due to being a target of many of her jokes over the years, mainly for being big. Now to the event itself. We were celebrating my grandmother's birthday this weekend. Everyone was vaccinated, don't worry, and all my cousins, not her children, uncles, aunts, and their spouses were there. My aunt was hosting. Everyone except my sister, who just last week had a baby. She had an infection, and with RS virus and COVID, she was still at the hospital and could not attend, which is a shame because my nephew was the first great-grandchild. So it was decided we would send her a copy of our yearly family photo. When we were setting up the shoot, my aunt said she had planned something. She comes out with a big toddler cap and a pacifier, saying that I should wear it and use the pacifier sitting in the front as a fun gesture to my sister. I was horrified and I said, no way. My aunt just replied, yes you will, it will be fun. When I said no a second time, this time with emphasis, she raised her voice saying, don't be difficult, OP, come on, put it on. My mother just sighed and said to just indulge her, knowing my aunt will push until I do. Well, here's the thing. I don't know what I was thinking, but I said, okay, I'll do it if you pull your honkers out and pretend to breastfeed me. Everyone went quiet and my aunt's eyes went wide and just said, excuse me? In a very offended tone. I followed up by saying, come on, flash those honkers. And all hell broke loose. My cousin giggling, my mother and aunt stood there choking with their mouths wide open. My aunt's husband shouted, what did you just say to my wife? Get out of my house. More than happy to comply, I took my car keys and left, accidentally leaving my parents to a $60 cab bill since I was their Lyft. When my mom and them came home, my mom was furious and said she had never been more embarrassed in her life and I needed to apologize, which I just shook my head saying, I won't. She deserved it. She grounded me. Not that she can since I'm over 18, but she hasn't spoken to me since. And my aunt also kicked me out of our WhatsApp group and Facebook group, so I need an outside perspective on things. So there you have it. Am I the jerk for telling my aunt to flash her honkers? Whew, I had to record this one a few times because of how completely absurd this was. I don't understand why he would go for that is the thing he would say of anything else, but I do understand that he would be very frustrated and probably hurt that not only are they constantly poking fun at him for being fat year after year and for having a baby face, but they even want him to humiliate himself and dress up like a big baby in a group family photo. How could they not see how degrading that is unless he was the one that wanted to do it in the first place? It's totally different if he comes to his family and says, hey, I got this funny idea. I'm going to be this big baby. You got a pacifier? I'll put it in my mouth. But he obviously does not want to do that and obviously does not like that being his identity. He probably could have got that message across a lot more clearly if he didn't say this to his aunt, but instead explained how this hurt him, but this was a more funny outcome anyway. So let me know if you think he is the jerk or not for saying this down below. Before we jump into the next one, if you guys haven't seen yet, we actually have some YouTube shorts now. So you can check them out via a link down below, or just go to the channel page in the shorts section. I think you'll like them, and if you end up seeing them, leave a comment that says, "Honkers, am I the jerk for eating McDonald's the day before Thanksgiving?" So my aunt and her kids are staying at my house for Thanksgiving because they live far away from us. Anyways, today I was going to get McDonald's, so I asked everyone if they wanted anything. My aunt looked at me with disgust. She asked me if I was serious. I didn't understand what the problem was, so I said, yes. She asked why I would even bring up McDonald's the day before Thanksgiving. I was confused and asked what the problem with McDonald's was. She told me that she always fasts her kid the day before Thanksgiving, and that even offering them McDonald's was a temptation and disrespectful to their beliefs. I said, I'm sorry, because I never knew that she did that and left to get McDonald's on my own. I came back to my house and I ate it in the kitchen. She saw me and told me she couldn't believe how disrespectful I was being and told me to eat in my room. I told her she's being ridiculous and I should be able to eat at my own table. She told my mom I was being rude and back-talking her and told me that she didn't want me to eat around her or her kids at Thanksgiving dinner tomorrow because of my bad influence and how it might run off on them. So am I the jerk for eating McDonald's the day before Thanksgiving? I know in the past when I fasted myself, it actually is a lot harder when you see other people eating food right in front of you until you're further into the fast usually. But in this case, it's this guy's own house. They are over as guests in his house, and she has to assume that he doesn't have the exact same belief or is going to be fasting before Thanksgiving as well. I mean, clearly he didn't even know. You can't really expect people to just know how to behave around you in their own house. But let me know how you see this down below, and jerk or not a jerk, and why. Am I the jerk for how I reacted after I found out my husband ran a secret background check on me before we got married? We've been married for 3 years, and I only just recently found out that before we got married, my husband ran a background check on me and my family. I found out because we were on vacation with his family and they were doing things that I had no interest in participating in a few times, so I stayed behind. He let me borrow his laptop because I left mine at home. I made a folder with my name and I was searching for it when I found another folder with my name. The folder was full of reports on me and my family, including my extended family and 2 of my childhood friends. I read as much of the reports as I could before my husband and his family came home for the day. At first, I was just hurt he would do something like this without talking to me first, but as I read more and started finding out things about my family and friends that I never even knew, I started to get angry. It's hard to put into words, but I felt like I had gone cold all over, but also like it wasn't me reading these things. So when I saw my husband, I exploded on him in front of his family. At first, he tried to say that it wasn't a big deal, and his cousin chimed in to say that it was normal and that he wasn't the only one who had done it with their family. When he saw that I wasn't calming down, he tried to get me to go into our room so we could talk about it privately, but I told him I wasn't going anywhere and that I was leaving. My husband told me to stay and he would sleep somewhere else or he would leave, but we were staying in a house owned by his parents and it felt weird for me to stay and make him leave, especially since his family was still there too. I ended up staying at a hotel for the night and we both flew home shortly after, cutting the vacation short. So am I the jerk for how I reacted after I found out my husband ran a secret background check on me before we got married? Oof, I think this would probably weird out most people, especially if the husband never brought it up later on to say, hey, before I really knew you, this is what I did. But it doesn't even sound like that's the case. It sounds like they had already been dating and were about to be married, and then he did this massive investigation of everyone, her friends, her family, and her extended family. The odd part about this is the fact that he kept all of that. If he was worried about something specific and he found out that that wasn't anything to worry about anymore, why would he still keep all of these reports on all these people? Did he just forget to delete them, or is he planning on using these for some reason in the future? Somebody who worked for a private investigator firm said that they did these sort of background checks every day, including for who the office manager was dating, and that this was more extensive than a basic background check by a private investigator. He said it's very, very unusual to cast this wide of a net off the bat. Unless something needs further research, it doesn't make sense. This would be a separate and distinct deep dive on everyone listed, not just a background check on one individual, and he would be charged accordingly. So either there was something specific that he was worried about, or maybe it really is just standard protocol for this family to do a deep dive on anyone entering into the family and casting this wide of a net while doing it. But it definitely doesn't sound like this is a very cheap thing to pull off. So would you be weirded out if you found out the person that you were married to had done this much of an investigation about you and your family, but only discovered discovered it years later? Let me know down below, and jerk or not a jerk, and why. Am I the jerk for letting my cat sit in the roasting pan? I bought a new roasting pan yesterday. I got it home, took it out of the box, and left it on the table. I come back in the room 2 minutes later, and no surprise, one of my cats is happily sitting in it, looking at me with big eyes like, for me? It's adorable. I take a picture and send it to the group chat for my family saying, look what we're having for Thanksgiving. I get the normal responses of lulz and crying laughing emojis. Then my sister goes, I hope you're not actually going to cook the turkey in that. You know my husband is allergic to cats. I say, yes, I'm going to cook in it, and I'm literally about to wash it and put it away until Thanksgiving. She keeps going on about how disgusting it is and how they won't be eating anything out of it. It's gross. I just don't respond. My mom calls me about an hour later and tells me my sister is very upset and my mom is just going to get some roasting pans from the dollar store for the turkey because my sister is afraid of her husband getting sick. Am I crazy? It's a metal pan that I've already washed thoroughly. It's not like hair can be stuck on it. My sister used to share a pillow with our old cat and let it lick her plate. I know my brother-in-law is allergic to cats, but he sits on my couch, which even after vacuuming has a lot more cat on it than a pan that has been washed. So am I the jerk for letting my cat sit in the roasting pan? I just assume that washing a pan clean, especially if it's thoroughly washed like how the OP is saying here, that there wouldn't be any issues at all. But apparently some people are saying that there are possibilities of cross-contamination even after a thorough washing. One response said, wash pan or not, one can't reasonably expect a total lack of cross-contamination from the cat if it's allowed in the food prep area. My guess is the sister has expressed similar concerns in the past which have been brushed off, hence the reaction. And I think that is probably the main issue. They probably talked about the husband's allergy a few times and maybe it wasn't taken seriously. And maybe the issue is not necessarily that the pan itself isn't particularly clean, but the fact that the cat has access to the whole food preparation area. I guess part of it comes down to how severe is the cat allergy. If it's so severe that he can't be around anything at all, then it's probably not a good idea to have Thanksgiving at this house in the first place. But let me know if you think there's any risk of cat allergies here or not, and jerk or not a jerk, and why. Am I the jerk for my petty response to my boyfriend's purposeful incompetence about chores? My boyfriend has started pretending to be bad at basic life things like doing dishes and laundry like he can't do it, so I have to do it. I felt pretty frustrated with that and told him straight up that I knew he didn't forget how to clean since he moved in with me. He was always very competent living alone and I didn't appreciate him forgetting how to do chores. I said that when I asked him to do dishes and he refused until he finally did them wrong, that I was not stupid. He said that he was trying his best and I was wrong for saying that he was trying to manipulate me, and that from his perspective I asked him to do something and he did it the best he could and I kept at him because it wasn't up to my impossibly high standards and he couldn't win. And he wanted me to believe him when he says he is trying. Anyway, this may be petty, but I decided to give believing him a try. So he had bleach stained my favorite little black dress. Instead of getting mad, the next time he had a family event, I put it on. He asked me if I was really gonna wear that. It looked messy. I said that I love that dress and understand accidents happened, so I wasn't mad or upset that it had bleach spots on it actually. I thought it looked kind of cool. He said that he thought it looked bad, and I said if he wants, he could Sharpie on the white spots real quick in the Uber. It ended up looking even worse. Another time, we were having dinner and he had done the dishes, but some of the cups and bowls in the dishwasher were upside down, so they filled with dirty dishwasher. I took those cups and bowls, dumped them out in the sink, but I didn't wash them further and served his food in them. He said that it was dirty and I was like, they just came out of the dishwasher. It's just water, it's fine. He said that no, it was disgusting. And I said it was really no big deal. I was getting over my impossibly high standards of cleanliness and I really didn't think that it was gross. The last time, I had cooked for a work party of his. After cooking, the dish needed to cool about 30 minutes before being refrigerated. I had plans with my friends that night and I asked him to put the dish away after it cooled. He forgot. The next morning, he noticed the dish was never refrigerated. I said it was fine. It was just a mistake and it would probably be fine to eat. There wasn't a lot of meat in it. He got frustrated and said, you can't serve meat left out overnight, even if it's only a little. And I said, oh, I think it should be okay. Stuff happens. He stopped being so lazy about chores after he realized that I seemed totally okay with leaving stuff done badly and that he will be living with it. But I feel a little bit petty for having been dishonest about it. I actually hate how my bleach dress looked and my stomach turns at dirty dish soap and unrefrigerated meat. Am I the jerk for being petty? This is actually pretty clever, and it seemed like it actually worked, where on the flip side, I can't possibly imagine how he thinks this whole story about how he forgot how to do dishes and laundry would even make sense. Who would ever believe that? Since when? And when was there a gap in time when you stopped doing dishes and laundry where you could even forget how to do them? Even if he wasn't willing willfully incompetent, like some people put it, and he just never knew how to do these things in the first place, pretty much anyone can learn how to do any of those things in a very short amount of time. And I'm sure he learned how to do all this stuff real fast when he was faced with having to eat unrefrigerated meat or off of a plate that was still dirty. But the more important question is, do you really want to be with somebody who's faking something this dumb? What happens when something serious comes up and he's trying to get out of that? Like a situation where you actually need his help. So let me know how you would have handled this down below, and jerk or not a jerk. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. To finish listening to all the stories in this series, use the playlist at the top of the description. And next time you live stream, use the cream of the crop music. Search for Cream of the Stream on Spotify or whatever music platform you use for copyright-free music to use for your stream. It's free. Cream of the Stream. Either way, thanks a lot for listening. We'll see you guys next time.